Hi, this is Ron Darling.
This is Skip Lockwood.
Hi, I'm Ron Swoboda of the 69 New York Mets, and you're listening to MetsMusings with Gary Mack.
Now it's time for some New York Mets baseball talk. Here's Gary Mack bringing you the latest news and analysis from Mets Nation and the world of baseball on another edition of MetsMusings.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of MetsMusings. Hope you all had a great week out there. And before we get into the Mets news, we've got lots of it. We've got a legend to be honored, and Juan Soto met the press. But before we get to that, I'd like you all to hit the subscribe button and the like button if you like these videos, to keep them coming, because that's what makes us keep going, is your viewership. So analytics tell us that only about 30% of those that watch is subscribed. So the rest of you out there, the 70% that aren't subscribed, please subscribe to the podcast. Then you'll always know when a new edition of MetsMusings is coming out. But let's get right to the Mets news. David Wright, number 5, the Mets captain for a number of years. The Mets are going to retire his number July 19th at Citi Field, ahead of the 4:10 game against the Cincinnati Reds. This was first reported by Anthony DiComo of MLB.com. Wright will also be inducted into the team's Hall of Fame that day. A homegrown Met who spent his entire career wearing the orange and blue. He was the team captain from 2013 until his retirement. Wright starred in Queens from 2004 to 2018 and was on a National Baseball Hall of Fame track before injuries, including spinal stenosis, began to seriously impact him. Wright was a 7-time All-Star, finished top 10 in MVP voting 3 times, won a pair of Golden Gloves, and was instrumental in the Mets' run to the NLCS in 2006 and the World Series in 2015, when his first inning home run in Game 3 against the Royals at Citi Field electrified the crowd. A big moment and something he'll have to remember for the rest of his life. From his debut in July of 2004 through 2013, Wright was one of the best players in baseball. In 1,374 games during that span, he slashed .301 with 222 home runs, 345 doubles, 876 RBIs, 853 runs scored, and 183 stolen bases. And if you saw him early in his career, he could run as well as anybody else, but unfortunately, the injuries the last few years of his career really slowed him down, and really a shame, because he was on a track for Cooperstown, and his numbers came down drastically with the injuries. But Mets are going to do right by him. They're going to retire his number and enter him into the Hall of Fame. I'm excited about that. I think he belongs in the Hall of Fame, the Mets Hall of Fame. I'm still not sure about the retirement number. I think it's a tough call. Retiring one's number is really the utmost honor that you could pay a guy. And yes, do I think he belongs in the Hall of Fame? Without a doubt. Whether or not the number should be retired, no, it's 6 and 1/2 a dozen of the other. So I'm glad to see, though, that the Mets are, under the new ownership, are getting into retiring some of the numbers of people who have meant a lot to the franchise, as well as getting more consistent with the Hall of Fame. They went, I think, for like 20 years without putting anyone in the Mets Hall of Fame. And fans kind of lose an interest in it because you don't even know. Some people, newer fans, may have not even known that they had a Hall of Fame. And really was kind of silly that they didn't put anybody in. I think they should try to put somebody in either every year, every 2 years, but have a consistent number, consistent year, every even year, say they're going to place somebody in the Mets Hall of Fame. There are a lot of guys now. They've since Cohen's come in, they've put in quite a few guys and retired quite a few numbers. It was like they were getting rid of a log jam that they felt had to go in with uh, Gooden and Strawberry retiring their numbers and Hernandez and retiring numbers. Maybe they wanted to clear the way because they wanted to definitely put Wright's number in, and they wanted to get some of the other guys in first before they retired his number. But good to see that he he is going in and be there. So July 19th will be a big day for the fans and for the Wright family. Juan Soto met the press last week in a lavish ceremony at Citi Field. Soto spoke about winning, saying in no uncertain terms that he believes the Mets are better set up to win than the Yankees and other clubs with which he negotiated. Mets owner Steve Cohen told Soto that he intends to win 2 to 4 World Series over the next decade. Fingers crossed. After Soto's splash, the Mets do remain committed to acquiring the best talent. Um, they promised him that they would try to get him a bat to protect him in another bat to protect him in the lineup. They could do that by signing Alonso. After the splash on Soto, they do have a lot of work to do. And of course, this is the beginning of the Juan Soto era. Cohen, of course, spoke of his excitement that Juan Soto was here at the press conference, and manager Carlos Mendoza hinted at a pairing of Francisco Lindor and Soto in the first 2 spots on his lineup card. And reporters asked about the New World Order in which the Mets, not the Yankees, land the best free agents and stand the strongest chance to win. What they've been showing me, what they want to do is make this team a dynasty and win for a long time. Soto said, so I think, why not? Soto signed for 15 years at an enormous amount of money, of course. And he's got a chance now too to go into the Mets Hall of Fame if he stays here for the 15 years and has a good 10 or 12 of those uh, and becomes a star here. And if the Mets can win a few World Series along the way, let's hope for the best. Still need a little bit of pitching. And the Mets are looking for it. The winter meetings are over, but the Mets still got a ton of work to do. They need to at least add 1 and possibly 2 legitimate starting pitchers to a rotation that is full of question marks. They have to bolster a bullpen that right now has 3 guarantees and not a whole lot of else. They must decide if they're going to trade Starling Marte or Jeff McNeil or both or prospects. A lot of things going on. That's why it makes sense to sign Alonso. He's a homegrown Met. He's beloved by the fans here in New York, by Met fans. and he is poised to break the Mets franchise home run record in 2025 if he resigns. So it would make sense for the Mets to re-sign Pete Alonso for those reasons. Ticket sales, he's got a fan base already here, and the run towards the club record for home runs in the career. So maybe they can find common ground. The Mets reportedly offered Alonso a 7-year, $158 million extension during the 2023 season, which he should have taken at that time. That would have bought out his final arbitration year and been worth $22.5 million annually through 2030. So perhaps there's common ground. As I said, if the Mets under the ownership of Steve Cohen have that much money, they're going to want to offer him the money. Steve Cohen says that they still want to sign him. David Stern says they want to sign him. They are in contact with the Scott Boras camp. Apparently, the Yankees and 3 other teams are interested in Pete as well. That's about what the market is. It's not the greatest market because we still have Goldschmidt out there who would probably sign a 1-year deal. Carlos Santana is out there. He would at 39. He's probably looking for a 1 or 2-year deal. Christian Walker is still out there. He's 34, I believe. He'll be looking for a longer type of deal. So there are 3 other quality, good first basemen out there, and Pete. And now that the Yankees have traded for Cody Bellinger, they've told him that he's going to play left field or center field, but he could also play first base. So that could solve their first base situation if the Yankees go out and get another outfielder. So we'll have to watch that as well. If they go out and get another outfielder and move Bellinger to first, that would take Pete off the Yankees' radar. So I think the Mets have to approach this as it seems as if they're approaching this as a wait and see. They're going to see what the market says. Perhaps they've got an agreement with Pete that they would talk, that he would come back to them last and before signing with anybody. But it's a wait and see game right now. I'm not sure if they made any offers for Pete, if they put in any years. I would say 6 years at 5 to 6 years at around 150, 125 maybe for 5. Maybe you go to 150 for 6 years. That would be a good deal for them. And, maybe Pete would take it. He'd have a chance to play behind, with Soto, which is really going to help his team offensively. Soto gets on a lot, so he'll have guys on in front of him. It could be a good deal for him to stay here, but we'll see what happens. Let's take a quick break and come back right after this.
Baseball and BBQ, your place for interesting baseball talk, opinions, and history.
Baseball and BBQ, your place for barbecue recipes, tips, and interviews from the world of barbecue. If you like baseball and if you like barbecue, then tune in to Baseball and BBQ. Find us on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and BaseballTalkRadio.com.
Okay, and we are back. And the Mets are in agreement with left-hander Brandon Waddell on a minor league contract, reports Robert Murray of Fansided. While it was initially reported as a MLB deal, Murray subsequently issued a correction. The deal is pending a physical. Waddell is the second former member of the Korea baseball organization's Doosan Bears to agree to terms with the Mets today. New York added multi-positional bat Jared Young on a Major League Baseball split deal after he clubbed 10 homers in 38 games for the Bears late in the season. Waddell, a 30-year-old southpaw, spent parts of 3 years with the club between 2022 and 2024. So the Mets are assigned 2 minor league deals. Brandon Waddell, a left-handed pitcher, and Jarrett Young, an infielder, for more depth. 2 minor signings that the Mets have made. And unfortunately, the Mets lost a couple of players on the final day of Major League Baseball winter meetings. The Mets lost 9 players as part of the Rule 5 draft, including 6 former Brooklyn Cyclones. You know me, I love my Brooklyn Cyclones. Right-handed pitcher Mike Vassell, left-handed pitcher Nathan Lavender, right-handed pitcher Nolan Clenny, right-handed pitcher Jortime Ramirez, infielder Junior Tillin, and catcher Drake Osborne. All former Cyclones were claimed in either the major league or minor league portions of the Rule 5 draft. Tampa Bay Rays and Philadelphia Phillies selected left-handed pitcher Nathan Lavender and right-handed pitcher Mike Vassell, respectively, during the major league phase. This means that both players must remain on a 26-man roster for each club for the duration of the major league season. Lavender is expected to miss the 2025 season following elbow surgery, so he would need to remain on the Rays roster for the entire 2026 season. Vassell was later traded to the Tampa Bay team after being selected by the Phillies. So the Phillies selected Vassell and traded him to the Tampa Rays. Junior Tillin went to the Detroit Tigers. Drake Osborne, the Arizona Diamondbacks. Nolan Clenny, the Chicago Cubs. Jortime Ramirez, the St. Louis Cardinals. And they were all selected in the minor league phase of the draft. So some young talent. I'm a little surprised at Mike Vassell not being protected. They have high hopes for him. Perhaps they saw something. He struggled this year in AAA, and perhaps they saw something that they didn't think was going to work out long time, that they were willing to expose him to the Rule 5 draft. Nate Lavender, I know they liked, but I guess they kind of figured with the Tommy John surgery, somebody may not take him. But they did. So they lost him as well in the major league portion of the Rule 5 draft. The other guys, well, didn't know much about them, to be honest. So I guess Junior Tillin was the only name that was recognizable, and they have such a glut of infielders that I guess he became expendable. So that's that. And finally, the Mets have sold 2 of their affiliates. Not sure if I like this, to a holding company that already owns another one of their minor league teams. The team announced last Tuesday at the winter meetings the sale of the High A Brooklyn Cyclones and AAA Syracuse Mets to Diamond Baseball Holdings, a group that already owns the AA Binghamton Rumble Ponies. DBH, a sports management company formed in 2021 when MLB contracted several minor league teams and realigned others, owns and operates several minor league teams around the country. I think the number is 38 or 40. The Cyclones and Syracuse Mets will remain affiliates of the big league club. The front office staff of each club will be retained. The sale is not related to any free agency moves, according to a source. The agreement between DBH and Cohen Private Ventures had been in the works for some time. We are excited to grow our relationship with DBH as they work to finalize the sale. Mets Vice President of Player Development, Andy Green, said in a statement, our affiliates provide valuable stepping stones for our players in these communities, but also family-friendly experience for our fans in those cities as well. As we've seen in Binghamton, DBH will strengthen our affiliates from a baseball and fan perspective. Now, I know things are picked up quite a bit in Binghamton, and they've done a lot of good things with the DBH. So I'm sure that we'll see it again in Brooklyn and in Syracuse. It just seems weird that the Mets are not going to own their own affiliates. And what kind of deal, like who decides whether or not they don't want to be an affiliate anymore? Does the DBH, can they decide to look for another major league team to affiliate these particular towns with? It wouldn't make sense. I mean, let's be honest. If Brooklyn was not a Mets affiliate, that would not make sense at all. I mean, who else other than the Yankees? Who else would um, is close enough where it makes sense? It makes a lot of sense for the Mets now for rehab purposes and just a fan base. Um, so it's interesting why they did this, but it seems like this is the way of the future. This is the way things are going to go. And hopefully DBH, they'll put some more money into the Cyclones and the Mets, the Syracuse Mets. By the way, they've done a lot of great things in Syracuse as well, up to this point, which made it attractive to DBH to take care of these affiliates. So Brooklyn needs a little sprucing up there. Maybe they've got to bring in some more things and upgrade the food a little bit and some other things that'll rise it back up. Attendance has been okay in the summer, but the early parts of the year and the later part of the year, attendance has dropped off uh, precipitously. And one of the reasons is the cold weather. I mean, it's cold in Brooklyn. I went to a June game a few years back, and it was a warm day. It was a night game. It was a warm day, and the game happened to go 19 innings, I think it was, and we stayed through the whole game. But it was cold. I mean, we bought a blanket. It got cold there. We weren't expecting that, so you can imagine going to a game there in April or May. It's like going to Citi Field almost. So, and it might be even worse in Brooklyn because of the water is right there. So all of that coming off there, but maybe if they can make it more entertaining and things like that and put some money into it, we'll see. We'll see. I don't know what plans they have for any of the affiliates, but the Mets have 3 affiliates now owned by the Diamond Baseball Holdings. So that is the latest. And excuse me. That's it. That's it for this week's show. I hope you enjoyed it. And I hope, as I said in the beginning, that you'll subscribe to the podcast, whether the video or the audio. Please subscribe. We have not a lot of subscribers, and I'm really surprised at that, and I want to get the numbers up. So if you like the show, heck, if you don't even like the show, just subscribe. Anyway, what's the difference? Okay, so until next time, we'll be following all the Mets' latest rumors and stuff. And until the next time, remember, keep the faith, stay optimistic. Let's go, Mets. And I'm Gary Mack. I'll see you next time on another edition of Mets Music.